of like the 7 primary, chakra systems, and would say like, okay, like think about like what does, wealth or abundance or, whatever it is look like to you in this regard. And so it got me to like think of these things as a form of intelligence center is part of how I would relate to it like after this, because it just got me to kind of like, how am I relating to the world via this aspect of myself? So for example, like if we look at root, that is like our fundamental connection to earth. That's safety, security, stability. Like, okay, how am I relating and thinking about the world through this lens? And that is, say, if we're looking at it from like an abundance or a wealth perspective, that's a lot of times where folks get caught. And whenever we think of like, oh, how do I relate to abundance? There's like this monetary element to it. Like, okay, like how do I relate to this from that perspective? And that is just one dimension. And then when you kept bringing it up, and it's like, okay, now we're looking at sacral, solar plexus, heart, so on and so forth. For me, each of those became a very different thing or a very different way of relating. So then it's like, okay, like how am I relating now via, if we look at sacral, like via social environments, via collaboration, creative projects, sexuality. Solar plexus would be like personal autonomy, business. How am I like relating in that regard? And I just found it to be a really interesting exercise, like even just as an exercise by itself. I found it to be like really fascinating.